In the darkness, you are not always alone. From forgotten history to haunted places and the creatures that go bump in the night, we explored the mysteries that live just beyond the porch light and just beyond civilization. I'm Richard, and with me is my co host Craig, and this is the Supernatural Roundtable. You've heard our voices at the table, our thoughts on the unexplained. But tonight, we turn the microphone outward. It is our honor to welcome our first interview guests, Julie and Mark from Spirited Investigations. Welcome to the Supernatural Roundtable. We have a very special episode for you today. We're doing an interview with Spirited Investigations, Mark and Julie. How are y'all doing?
We're doing well.
All right, thank you.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Well, we hooked up, when was it? A couple months back, and y'all went in the woods with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And came back out alive.
Yes.
You did. Hey, you're doing better than the other guy did.
Yeah, but I almost got lost when I had to go pee, remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, twice.
Yes.
Right.
Anyway, they specialize in the paranormal, which we definitely don't. We're fairly newbie at it. We don't know what the hell we're doing. So, but anyway, we brought them on. Hopefully we'll have a good conversation tonight and talk about what they do and how they got into it. So,
Yeah.
great.
And as far as not knowing anything about the paranormal, not being an expert on it, none of us really are.
No.
You know,
Right.
there's just people have their theories, and so many of them say, well, this is the way it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
Nobody knows for sure.
How did y'all get into the paranormal?
You go first.
Well, for me, it started, back from when I was a kid, you know, in dysfunctional families, there's always the kid that's super sensitive and read, you know, the room and make sure everybody's balanced and all that kind of stuff. And I think enough of us in my generation anyway grew up in dysfunctional families. But so I always had kind of a sixth sense. I could read a room, I could tell when something's off and that kind of stuff. But the first thing that really happened that opened my eyes was moving into a haunted dorm room when I was in 1984. So this goes back, that's how old I am, really old. My roommate was over at her desk typing her paper, and I was laying on my bed kitty corner from her and studying. And all of a sudden, a plaque that she had put up on the third shelf above her came flying off over her head. Wow. And landed in the room. And we just looked at each other like, did that really happen? And one thing I want to say right now, too, is that a majority of my experiences happened with witnesses. So I'm not the only one.
Right.
But anyway, we told our resident assistant that, you know, this was going on. And she's like, wow, tell me, you know, when something's happening again. And we would get clicking in the walls like somebody was pulling a light chain, you know, repeatedly, and find out nobody's home next door. Or there'd be stomping and pounding and blaring from upstairs. And we'd go ask them to be quiet. We're trying to study, and no one would be home up there. And one time in the winter, the RA, the resident assistant, went on a retreat with the housing director and all the other RAs. And the housing director asked her, has anything weird been happening on your floor? And she said, no, she forgot about Beth and I. And the housing director said, well, in room 210, there had been a suicide.
Wow.
An unaliving, if you want to edit that out. And other people had reported before us weird things going on there. So one time, again, we were studying, and our door jamb was just going boom, 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 boom in there. Wow. We didn't have the window open. It was winter. The doors were closed in the dorm, and just this air pressure, boom, 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 boom. So I got up in the nerve. I went and got the RA. I said, it's happening now. You know, so she came over, and that's when she told us that the RA had told her that room had had experiences before. Mm. And interestingly, after Mark came to live with us, we went to a talk at Weld Hall on campus, Moorhead State, where I went. And he was doing a talk about all these haunted places and stuff. And he said, anybody here have anything to share? And of course, I stood up and I said, well, if anybody lives in 210 Doll, you've got something going on. And there's just, oh,
wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
No.
And I was just, I moved into this little house in Moorhead. Well, after I got married the first time. And we had taken a friend in who was just spending her last semester at NDSU, North Dakota State. And her husband lived up by Roseau, which is on the Canadian border. So she was staying with us while she just finished that trimester. He's a farmer. He had to take care of the cattle. So she was also a witness, because I remember one time I was in the shower and I'd heard the back door open. I have this little open floor plan house where I can see from the bathroom to the back door. If I just, peek out in, it's like bathroom, kitchen, and then living room, all open floor plan, little tiny house too. So I open the door and I see the back door, and this is winter, is cracked open about 2 inches. And I thought, oh my gosh, Trish forgot to shut the door or whatever, but I would have noticed that before I went in the bathroom. So I tell Trish when she gets home, I said, did you remember to lock the door when you left? And she said, yeah, I always do. I said, Trish, it was open like this. And she and I got butcher knives, and we go around we have a little basement. We went around all the basement and the 2 bedrooms, and there's nobody there. But she said that had happened to her one time when she got back from class and I had gone to class, that I had supposedly left the door unlocked, but it was open.
Wow.
From there, after she moved, we moved to a house in Fargo, but kept this house as a rental. And then I got divorced and I moved back to this little house in Moorhead. And Katie was going through puberty and I had just gotten fired from a job. So like emotions and stuff were really running high then. And things would happen. Like I remember I had, depressed Julie, all the shutters down. I'm sitting in my recliner in a blanket, and I remember I was watching Mellencamp live on request because I'm a Mellencamp fan. And all of a sudden, this black orb comes from the kitchen, goes across the ceiling, and goes behind my couch on the other side.
Wow.
I thought that was weird. But not only that, my cat Cougar, named after John Mellencamp, jumped off my lap and went behind the couch and was scratching to get at this thing. So what that was, I don't know. Another night after I had cleaned the kitchen, just thoroughly cleaned it and stuff. Next morning, I wake up and I find one of those. Do you remember the old Subway cups that were about like this with a purple handle? And was one of those, was upside down in the middle of my kitchen floor. And I mean, I had swept, mopped, washed dishes, cleaned the counters. I just went through the whole thing. And that cup was there. Another night, I was on my computer in my little bedroom across the hall from Katie's bedroom in the front of the house. And I had put her to bed and it was getting on 11 o'clock and she was still making noise and stuff. And I thought, well, she's trying to get herself settled down, but this is ridiculous. So just as I'm taking a breath to say, okay, Katie, go to bed. She said, Mom, will you be quiet? I'm trying to get to sleep. And we had both heard voices in our house. And not only that, Katie said, I heard somebody trying to get in the back door. And I went and looked, and it was wintertime, no snow, no footprints on the snow in the steps. So weird stuff happened there.
Yeah.
And then Marky came along. Oh, should we tell you how we met? Tell them how we met, Mark.
Sure.
Remember back in the days when you had to read the internet?
Yeah, this wasn't a dating site. This was a paranormal site. And I'd noticed that this lady had posted a video and it was about apparently orbs in her hallway. And I watched it and I thought, well, that's interesting, When the comments of this whole thing somebody, a troll, was having a go, saying, "Oh, it's just dust. You know, get your place dusted, get your Hoover
Yeah.
going."
Oh, you got your air on. And well,
Yeah.
I took controls. I didn't turn on my air. I didn't have any windows open. I'm allergic to dust. You wouldn't know it looking at this place, but there was no dust stirred up or anything. So I'm getting these orbs, but they could have been dust anyway.
So yeah, this troll then said, was having a go at her. So I said, "Hey, hang on a minute. She's probably been researching longer than you've been alive. Back off." Well, then Julie thanked me in an email, private message. We started talking, and that was that. She was hooked on me.
Yeah. My white knight, as he says.
The accent, that's what did it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, tell your experience before I met you.
Yeah, well, okay. In a similar fashion to you, I was born in 1969 in the August, so just after Apollo 11 landed, and that took all the gusto out of my birth. I tell you, that was on the news instead of me. So Apollo 11 landing, and the first house. Well, first of all, I nearly died because there was a thunderstorm going on. It was 10 o'clock at night.
The thunderstorm almost killed him.
No, but I had to have forceps. They had to pull me out with forceps. Both myself and my mum nearly died, and apparently that can assist with possible paranormal traits of the self, psychic ability.
Also, you had a great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother that died with
several different faces on her as she died, and
as she died, her face would change and stuff.
So my mum's side of the family seemed to have something of abilities anyway, it seems to be. But yeah, so that hospital actually got pulled down about 2 years after I was born. I thought they'd done their best work, and that was it. But really, the first house we moved to had some very strange effects. As a baby, I, of course, didn't know this, but there were things like my grandmother came to stay and look at the new child, and she heard someone come down the steps in the middle of the night because she was sleeping on the couch. And so this person came into the room, went through the room, I think, walked back up the stairs again. And she asked my dad in the morning, did he come downstairs and did he want anything? And he said, no, we didn't get up in the middle of the night. So somebody came down. Just very strange things that happened in that first house.
Oh, the electricity and your mum making the tea.
Oh, yeah. Years later, we went to Morchard Bishop, to a family-owned home, and it had old wiring in it, so that could be one excuse for this. But basically, we got there, and my mum, first thing she did was put the kettle on. She's a tea drinker, and boiled the kettle, made a cup of tea, and then my dad said, hang on, how have you done that? You had to put 50 pence in the meter to switch on the electricity. Otherwise, there'd be no electricity. So how did she manage to boil the kettle when the power was off?
They have a different electrical system over in England, whereas they have it in their house and they feed money into it. And then somebody comes along during the year and collects that money.
So once that thing clicks off and there's no power, there's just no power. And there's also, of course, this place was only being rented out occasionally, and that meter will just run out on a standing charge anyway. Over a few days, I think it'll run out. So it's definitely clicked off. So how she managed to boil that kettle, no idea.
Wow, that's crazy, boy.
Yeah. So otherwise, for me, we'll carry on with what you were going to say.
Well, just there were things that happened that both Mark and I are intelligent people, and we try not to be woo-woo, but over a period of time, you get that way because there's things happening that you cannot explain.
Yes.
And that's the way we approach this. Is we want to be able to explain it. We're not going to make up stuff.
No.
And we want answers.
In fact, as Ghost Theory channels say, how many coincidences do you need to have happen before you start thinking there might not just be coincidences?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that because, we're the same way when it comes to Bigfoot and cryptids because, you've seen us, been out with us. Not everything we see is, Bigfoot. Like, even the pictures you just sent us recently of the deer hair and all that, we were trying to logically explain it away first before we jumped to Bigfoot. But it's one of the reasons I reached out to y'all originally when we started talking is y'all don't embellish anything. So.
Well, why? Because the stuff that happens is already embellishment enough, if you know what I'm saying. It ain't right.
Oh, so,
yeah. Then Mark and I met on the internet, and eventually I went over. It was my 40th birthday celebration. I went 2 days after my 40th birthday and met Mark. And he had been doing an investigation at a place called Marbury Hall. And if you want to tell them about that.
I've heard of that before somewhere.
Marbury Hall was it was knocked down in the mid 1960s. The American troops came over in World War II and really kind of caught up everywhere with the half-track tanks and things like this that they were running around the gardens. Otherwise, it was quite a nice place, but fell into disrepair and then got pulled down. But there were stories of, well, there was, I'm trying to think now. Oh, somebody apparently got murdered in a tunnel. A cheating wife, I think, was seeing a lover and got killed in the tunnel. So there's one ghost there. There were various spirits, and I was researching this place with my friend called Sandra, and we were getting EVPs and all sorts. We'd get Stop Talking About School was one of them. Class A, completely.
She's on the phone.
She's on the phone was another one. Yes, my friend was on her cell phone. And just various things that would happen at that place that were just a little bit bizarre. Orbs in front of your face, different colours. And then there was strange things with smells. You'd get this, yes, that was another one actually related to the first house that I lived at. If you put damp clothes over an electric fire, you got a certain smell that comes with that. And you used to get that in what used to be the kitchen area of Marbury Hall. And I once got that as well at the flat that I had, the apartment. Very, very strange stuff that I couldn't really make much sense of. But that was Marbury Hall, and that was the first sort of proper investigating around 2003. And we actually got approached by a couple of ladies who said, what the heck are you doing researching this? They got the wrong end of the stick. Those two, Jackie and Christine, ended up with their own paranormal show, which was Rescue Mediums. And they used to have that show in Canada. So I could well
have that was on A&E, wasn't it?
Yeah. We became good friends. I did an investigation with them. We did a spirit rescue of a young girl. And the interesting part to that, there's a couple of interesting parts, if I may, was that I was bouncing off Jackie. She was saying, what was happening in her mind's eye with this girl that she's, helping us cross to the other side. And I was saying certain things as well. And we realized I'm actually looking at the same thing she was. That the length of the dress of the girl, the color of her hair, this sort of thing was fantastic. Didn't realize it at the time, but did afterwards that, yes, we were bouncing off each other. So evidently either both of us were delusional or something was going on there with this spirit rescue. The next day after that, because I was fresh at all this, I rang Jackie and I said, look, I've got this impression I've got this tatty cloth around me. What's going on? And she said, you didn't take your protection off, did you? I said, no, why? Well, what we'd had to do, of course, was a few words and put this protection kind of spell or words, whatever, around ourselves before doing the investigation. I didn't know to take the thing off. And so that was what I was seeing in my mind's eye was this tatty, disheveled looking piece of fabric around me.
It's like whatever he was asking for protection from had been going at this protection.
Yeah, all night and all the rest of that day until I rang her up and I went, oh, right. Oh, so I'm supposed to take that protection off, am I? So I have no idea to this day what the heck, but it did tie in with what she said. So, yeah, that was a fascinating experience.
And then when I went to visit Mark, we did go to Marbury, Mark and I and his two daughters. And as we're walking towards where the hall sat itself, my legs started going to jelly. And it's going, this is really weird. I don't know. And Mark said I was standing in the rose garden area. And as I walked back, I went onto the road and I just burst out crying. I could not help myself. And his daughter's saying, Julie, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm saying, it's not me. This isn't mine. And then Mark tells me that the tunnel where the woman got murdered went under that road.
Oh, wow.
So I was feeling that had gone on there.
Yeah.
And we went back at night to investigate, just Mark and I, and we heard footsteps coming from, there's a lane of trees that you walk down, and just off this way, I remember hearing footsteps. I said, Mark, that's not four-legged, that's bipedal. We got to get out of here, because we didn't know if any person was hanging around there or not, or safe. So we didn't get that investigated too well.
No, I don't think it's a Cheshire version of a Bigfoot anyway.
So is Marbury Hall like the scariest place y'all have ever conducted research at, or no?
No, it's a pleasant place. I mean, Marbury itself was, it was a case that they had to let you in, it seemed to be as well, that you wouldn't get anything there, EVPs, any strange pictures, you wouldn't see orbs or anything, until they decided you could. So you had to get to know them, and it was a bit weird that, how do you get to know a ghost? But I suppose just turning up all the time, having respect, taking trash with you when you go and things like this, I suppose. And that might apply to a lot of other haunted places as well. You may not get anything unless you are respectful and various other criteria. They might not let you in.
It's
You know what? What's this?
Sorry.
I was just going to say, you asked if the scariest one for me, and you tell them what yours is. I don't know if it's the same one. We went up to investigate the Joplin spook light on the Hornet Road. And, excuse me, I was driving down the road in the wrong direction. So I know that we had to turn around and look back towards Hornet. So I was looking for a place to turn around, and I found an access for a tractor onto a field. And just about a quarter mile beyond that was a house with a yard light. And then the yard light was lighting up our car. It was pouring rain out. And I turned around and I parked facing Hornet in the car on that access. And Mark had to relieve himself. So he gets out and he goes out, and as he's coming in, he says, I heard voices out there, and I saw 4 shadows. Just imagine them lining them up. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, just shoulder to shoulder, and it blocked out the light from that yard light. And I said, Mark, get in the car. And boom. I mean, we hadn't been there more than 3 minutes to investigate the Joplin spook light when these 4 hat men came and blocked out the light behind our car, and I took off, and that scared the jeepers out of me.
No, that was a scary one.
The one that Fort Dixon, or Fort Gibson.
Fort Gibson, yes, I'll say this one. Yes, we went to have a look around it, and it's in a decent condition, that fort. And as we were leaving at night, we were just setting off. I turned round.
I had backed up and put the brake lights on.
Yeah.
And Mark turned around to see who was backing up.
Yeah, I turned around and saw a Civil War guy's face, and the top of his tunic and such, tattered sort of clothes, like he'd been wearing them for 3 or 4 months. And he hadn't shaved, and he was looking in through the window. What the heck's all this? So we sped out of there as well. But he was looking in at us, it seemed, through the back window of the car.
Wow.
Hell of an experience.
Yeah, it would.
Mark sees spirits more than I do, but shortly after we started talking, and it was between when I went over to England and when Mark came over for Thanksgiving, I believe. And I was just gotten off the computer, and this is when I had the computer out in the living room rather than my bedroom. And all the lights were shut off except for the bathroom light. And I was heading towards the bathroom, go brush my teeth, get ready for bed. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a man standing in front of my stove. He's got sandy brown hair. He's got like a Paul Bunyan black and red check lumber shirt, jeans. In fact, he kind of looked like Paul Bunyan, but lighter hair, shorter, no beard, clean cut. Work boots, jeans. And it didn't hit me till I was in the bathroom. I thought, I just saw somebody out there. And it wasn't so much visual as a mental impression. And I'll talk about that later because I talked to Lloyd Auerbach about this. Or Lloyd Auerbach, I'm sorry. So I carried on, whatever. Mark moved over, and it took me about 2 weeks. And I said, I've been kind of afraid to tell you this, and I don't know why, because we met because of the paranormal. But I once saw a guy standing out in the kitchen, and Mark says to me, you mean he's got sandy brown hair, black and white, red shirt, jeans and work boots? And I, what? And he says, yeah, he's out there in the kitchen when I have coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
His name is Mitch.
It'd just be stood next to the fridge. And I thought, oh, right, that must be the spirit that Julie, thought was in the house.
Except for you didn't know like that.
I didn't know this, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
And I've only I've seen fleeting things. I've seen giant, I mean, like 3-foot orbs floating across the backyard in Muskogee. But Mark sees much more than I do. I feel more than he does.
Have you ever been like physically threatened and gotten scratches or anything like that?
I got tapped on the shoulder once. Where was that?
Oh yeah, that was Glen Sheen Mansion in Duluth is known to be haunted.
Yeah, we went for a walking tour around there, and Julie's uncle was with us, and he was walking behind. And anyway, I got this tap on my shoulder. I turned around expecting it to be him. He wasn't even looking in the same direction. You know, he was paused looking at a picture or something. And he had nothing, he didn't tap me on the shoulder. But apparently one of the stories we found out is of people getting touched at that hole, at that mansion. So, yeah, I don't know. But it was a proper physical touch. It was a proper boom, boom, like that.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever hurt us more than we've hurt ourselves in our mind that was scary, you know?
So you've never been like physically hurt or anything like that?
No. I did get tapped on my shoulder in a Walmart once and no one was there.
Wow, really?
Boom, boom, boom. And
I never had anything touch me, and I don't really want it to either, so go figure. You know, that's why I've made this joke before. That's why I deal with Bigfoot. That's something I can turn around and punch in the face. It's not going to do me any good.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to lose that fight, but at least I can physically reach out and touch it.
Yeah,
I can't touch a ghost, you know? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. How do you feel about demons versus spirits?
I'm interested you asked that because one of the things I study a lot is possessions. They fascinate me because I want to know, is it mental illness? Is it suggestion? Is it spiritual? And I have to believe from everything that I have listened to, what I've researched, listened to exorcists, listened to Malachi Martin, exorcists for the diocese all over the United States and in Rome and stuff. It is spiritual because I don't think anything mental, unless if you're Elle from Stranger Things, maybe you can make yourself levitate, right?
Right.
But you have good, solid people, unless they're trying to sell a show for the Catholic Church, that are saying these people are levitating. These people are speaking in languages they could not possibly know. They are finding out things about you that you've never told anybody. So I think they are spiritual. Now, whether they come from a dimension called hell or Hades or, I don't know. Or is it a manifestation of all the evil in the world? If you think about it that way.
An oversoul of evil.
Yes. I think if there's an oversoul of good, definitely there's an oversoul of evil. Ghosts, I believe, are either stuck or they have unfinished business, or they are a stone tape theory recording kind of thing.
Okay. Do y'all believe in like portals and gateways and anything like that?
I have trouble with portals myself. I don't think that spirits need any special place to come and go, the whole thing about, and this is, I'll get in with Lloyd Auerbach here because Professor Lloyd Auerbach, he now works with the Rhine Institute of Paranormal Studies. And that was a subspecies or a sub-subject of the Duke University in Rhine Institute, where they did like the random number generators and the cards, the star, the square, right, those kind of things, where those experiments started. But I lost my thought.
Lloyd
Oh,
Auerbach.
anyway, Lloyd Auerbach, yes. I had asked him, I said, what is this about people saying you can take my energy, you can use our energy from our batteries? And like Mark says, you know, the place that they're investigating has light sockets.
Yeah.
You know, you want energy.
Yeah, tell the ghost to stick his fingers in
Yeah.
there.
So, and I know I had seen him on several investigations back in the 90s and this stuff. And I was really surprised, you know, I just thought I'll write to him, see what the heck. He wrote back, you know.
At length as well,
Yeah.
yes.
And I have to go with what he says is that ghosts are more of a psychic phenomenon from our own.
A projection?
Poltergeists are a projection of our own psychic phenomena, the PKE. And that's why I say when Katie was going through puberty and I was fired from a job, we had this whole emotional stuff going on. And that's why some poltergeist stuff happened. But as far as people seeing ghosts and things, it's like a spirit's psychokinesis impressing on our minds what we see. And it can impress on a whole group of people, so we all see the same apparition. Is it really there? Sure, you can get pictures of it too. But now I just had this thought. You have to think about psychic photography. You know, impressing on a video camera, impressing on a camera, or, you know, could that be spirit's psychokinesis as well?
So the reality you're experiencing, you can make the camera experience that reality.
In that way. That's just a side thought I just had. So excuse that I haven't fully involved but so spirits, it's not so much that they come to earth and do stuff as they impress on our minds that they're doing stuff. So if you go to a haunted place, there is still that energy there that is impressing that which you view or what you experience.
Which is why some equipment could work.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
I was going to ask you, you said stone tape. What was it?
Stone tape theory is where an event happens that is either so traumatic or so energy filled that it imbues itself on the environment. Now, Mark has that situation of having a ghost of himself filmed.
I've already been a ghost. What happened was when I moved over here, we lived in Minnesota, and I basically took over Julie's garage with my arcade machines. I was buying arcade machines here, there, and everywhere. And I'd got Outrun on one of the machines. And now I'm one of these guys that has played the machine since 1980 or whatever. I've always wanted to complete just any game. Well, Outrun is possible to complete if you're good enough. So I spent weeks every day, didn't I, playing this Outrun machine, and I was getting better and better and better. And at the time, we had cameras going for possible paranormal stuff in Julie's house, because of course that's how we've met.
We got to tell you more about that too.
And so one of the cameras was looking into the garage. And there've been some noises in there, that sort of thing. Well, I completed Outrun, and there's a picture that somebody took of me fixing the light bulb in the middle of the garage, but also reflected in the mirror at the end is me playing the Outrun machine at the moment that I won the game. And that is just fantastic. I've actually been a ghost.
It's like his energy dump from winning that game imbued that presence. So he's in the same room as himself. Basically, it was really
wow.
Weird. That's crazy.
That is.
On that side of things too, at the flat that I had in the early 2000s, the apartment.
Yes, this is stone tape as well.
Yeah, this is stone tape. I used to hear somebody walking up and down the kitchen in the middle of the night. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, it must be the neighbours, because it was a row of houses. I thought it must be the next house across or something like this. And but no, it was coming from my kitchen. Every night, 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody was pacing up and down. Well, I knew the former person that had owned the place. And I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, that'll be me." He said, "I was coming off drugs, and I used to pace up and down that kitchen at 3 o'clock in the morning." So he had stone tapes, and he was very much alive as well, but it was a trauma type situation.
That is strange.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would happen if you're still alive. So
This is it. It rewrote what I thought of the paranormal.
But that may have something. Well, no, because the doppelganger thing I just kind of went to. But so often doppelgangers don't know about themselves. But could that also explain doppelganger?
Possibly.
Just a thought.
And possibly that, though.
Definitely. That's pretty intense.
So that would explain why, like, say you go to a battlefield where a lot of people have passed.
Exactly. While you hear gunshots, while you'll see soldiers splitting through the woods,
That brings to mind something I want to run by y'all guys eventually here a little bit after near the end of the show, because I got ideas going up in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Ideas are cool.
Scary for me,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Do you think spirits? Do you think they're conscious entities or residual energy?
I think, the stone tape theory ones are residual. And
Residual.
the other ones, there is a consciousness to them because they're thinking about what to impress on us. Or if they do exist and do come to Earth and all this kind of stuff, they manipulate energies. This is why we're getting EMF detectors and light sensitivity, things like that,
Right.
If anything is affecting the environment.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to ask, you said you were going to look at some lots, and that one time you've been scared, but like if you look at everywhere, there's like a lot phenomenon that happens. You were talking about the lots, I believe, in Missouri. We've been to a place called the Dover Lots here in Arkansas, and we seen lights.
Yeah, we went to Gurdon.
So
our first investigation here was Gurdon.
Yeah.
The garden lots.
Right.
Yeah, but we didn't see anything that night. We got a lot of wood ticks.
Yeah, we picked
Now, what do y'all think about the correlation between orbs and Bigfoot? Because a lot of that, people see orbs and then they'll see Bigfoot at the same moment.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, UFOs have been reported with
See,
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot is such a conundrum because he could be interdimensional, could be a physical being, could be physically interdimensional. It just because there is so many weird things that go alongside of Bigfoot.
I know it. It's just there's just so much.
Welcome to our rabbit hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild that we got you to go out looking for Bigfoot with us that one time. Because
not at all.
Well, I mean, y'all are more paranormal, and we had some kind of paranormal stuff happen while we were up in the mountains. You remember that? The radio was keying up
at the cemetery.
Yeah. And then a wood knock right after it.
Yeah.
Yes, that was really creepy.
That was strange. Hey, I tried to go in the bushes after it.
We definitely need to get y'all together and go up and see the Dover Lights.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because that's where we also had what we think was a Bigfoot experience. Because, we started doing Bigfoot calls and had one answer us.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And then we got
looking into legends up there. Oh, I'm sorry, Richard, go ahead.
Well, you got very unnerved after that happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting it.
There's a legend of a lady in white up there in that area. Have you heard that?
Yes.
A local rumor says that she was a witch. Do I know that? I don't know. I don't really know anything, and I couldn't find anything on her. So who this lady is, I don't know.
Back in the day, any woman who knew anything about herbology and medicine was considered a witch.
That is true.
So doesn't mean she was evil.
No. I'm not saying that. It's just that's just a local rumor. Like with all small places, there's a local rumor mill. You hear,
Well, in fact, there was a rumor in my family for the longest time. There's a grave in my hometown, or just outside my hometown. My parents are buried in that cemetery now, but it's called Bertha's grave. And I had to correct AI on this. I love it. This grave, for the longest time, we thought it was like my great aunt, and people called her a witch. And people would, desecrate the tombstone. They would go and lose their virginity on her grave. They would party around it, all
Wow.
this stuff, because she's a
Messed
witch.
up.
And come to find out, it wasn't our family. It was a family called Pauline, because the lady that they thought was a witch in our family was actually a very kind woman who would bake cookies for the children and all this kind of stuff. So when that guy came to give the talk at Moorhead, he talked about Bertha's grave in Coleraine. I said, well, that's my hometown. And I do believe that is my great aunt. And she was not a witch.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But yeah,
You're
like I
right,
said,
right.
local lore and legend.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're finding the further we dig into the Bigfoot stuff. Like the Lockett Ranch episode we just did, he got
Mhm.
something totally different from what I had.
Yeah,
Yes.
very interesting episode that, because yes, you got differences all over the place with the stories.
And
It was.
like I had mentioned to you guys, I'm looking into hauntings in Arkansas, and guess what I find? A crybaby bridge. How many stinking crybaby bridges
Yeah.
are there? Every state has to have about 5 or 6 of them.
Hmm.
Really?
Someplace named Lockett Ranch.
Hmm.
That is not something that everybody, we got a Lockett Ranch in Arkansas. We got a Lockett Ranch here, That was a very specific name. So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
It was. And the thing about it is, me and him used the same AI to look up the info.
Isn't that?
Oh
wild?
wow!
Yes.
So the way I was hallucinating those.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I'm always like, I'll start watching videos on the subject we're about to do too, just to make sure. I've got to know for sure,
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I haven't gotten anything wrong, but I don't know that. No one's called me on that yet, so it'll
When I
happen.
was chatting with Gemini about Bertha's grave, it was trying to tell me it was up in a town called Buell, which is 60 miles away from Coleraine. I said, nah, not only am I from the hometown of that grave that was once thought to be my relative, And I was going, oh, I'm so sorry. You are correct. Yeah.
AI, I think, is just a tool, just like any other tool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Sometimes it's a real tool, if you know what I mean.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I get all the artwork from. Believe it
Yeah.
or not. That's a whole nother process I don't want to get into.
Well,
It's
I think it's
amazing.
really cool.
I'm trying it, so
Okay. In y'all's investigations, y'all use EVP and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah.
How do you rule out false positives or environmental causes?
Well, one thing I will say is that so many people whisper, and they raise their voices when they want to talk to the spirit, which has always been
Isn't that funny?
a silly one. If there's anybody here, they could just whisper the same. But the thing I'm getting at is, to whisper is no good if you're doing any recording, because you might think that's a spirit voice.
You might forget when you're going over the audio
When you're
that
listening
you were
back.
the one that said that, and then, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I
one
never
thing
thought
to
of that.
speak clearly, never smoke on an investigation and things like this. There's so many.
Another thing we'll do is, like, if we are doing EVP and we like scuffle our shoes or cough or mumble under our breath, we'll say, tag that.
Always make a note of it.
That was me.
Yeah, and then it won't confuse you when you're looking at the evidence or possible evidence.
see, I've never understood, like, when you're watching a TV show, they're all whispering and all that,
Exactly.
real low. And then something happens and they're screaming like girls and running
Yeah.
away. Not saying I'm not going to scream like a girl. I'll probably be the
Looking
first.
forward to it.
Yeah, I can get high pitched. Just wait. But in your experience, though, it'd be just as good to use a normal voice while you're doing an investigation.
Always, really, yes.
Can I tell you I do a lot of near-death experience study too. I mean, my my research is more on the academic side. And then when Mark came along, it was more into the feet on the ground kind of stuff. But in the afterlife studies, several people have said that, like, when you pass over, you don't just have this perception from your eyes looking here and maybe a peripheral. You open up to a 360 peripheral vision. And I cannot even fathom being able to process that. Can you think, like, right now you're looking at your screen here? Can you think about, like, you're looking down, you can see the floor underneath you or the wall behind you? At this time, you can't. But apparently when you die, that all opens up. And not only that, your energy expands. So I have a problem with EMF detectors in the point that all it's doing is registering a spike in a place. Very often they are not replicable. You can't repeat it. And I had asked Mark if there are any, like, stray EMF that can, whatever. You didn't think so. But from what I have found on Gemini, that is possible, that there is so much EMF going on that it can occasionally accumulate and set things off.
In metal objects, yes, can condense down, things like that. But just another aspect on this. Apparently also when you die, it can be in several different places all at the same time. Yeah. And time itself.
You got to tell about Mary.
Yeah, time. Well, that's who I learned from. Well, I seemed to be. I had a mental impression. I was contacted by somebody, a spirit at a church, a local, in Great Budworth in Cheshire. And this lady was called Mary, and apparently I'd known her before. Now, I don't know whether I believe in reincarnations and such, but apparently I used to know her hundreds of years ago. And she was just sat at the back of this church. And then I met up with her again, apparently. And she was explaining to me about this locating in different areas and helped me to understand. It sounds very strange to talk about.
Yeah, we really are not out of our minds.
Yeah, I know. But she said, imagine being standing where you are now and also being at a tree line. You can see in your mind's eye across a green field of grass. But also you're underneath the bridge that you're standing near, watching the traffic go past. It's like a multitasking.
And I think that's kind of like that 360 view.
Yeah, it's similar. It sounds related to it. And also, the time itself. You can experience 1 second that takes 1,000 years or the other way around. There's no, we experience second by second because we're getting older, we're aging.
And even the theory of time and is that it's a corkscrew that spins back on itself so that past, present, future can all meet and one little turn on this corkscrew kind of thing.
I kind of look at it like this. Okay, say you have a near accident driving, time just slows. You ever felt that? Yeah, it's just like that. Yes. Yeah, it just slows. But you're doing something you enjoy, and next thing you look up, and it's like 12 o'clock at night.
Well, I had a near death experience when I was younger. Me and my dad used to dive for freshwater mussels along the Arkansas River. And anyway, we was diving in a heavy wind that day. And of course we had we didn't have no tanks, just had the gasoline motor that ran the airlines down to you, connected to you. Well, my airlines had ripped away from me due to the wind. And I was under that water, and I'll tell you what, I don't know how long I was under there. All I can remember is I was sucking in water, and I could see my entire life flash before my eyes. And it just so happened, I was sucking in water, and it just so happened I reached around. I was able to grab a hold of the rope, and I pulled myself up before I drowned. But my whole life experience being flashed, is like a fast forward, it's just going through scenes of my life all the way up, it was creepy.
Did you leave with that feeling that somebody was with you there? Or did you have any sense that this was a time to look back on and see what you did in your life? Or was it just you were
I
there?
kind of feel I was safe for a reason, honestly, because the wind was blowing bad that day, and that rope should have been long gone by then.
Yes.
Blowing the boat, and for me to just reach around, just happen to grab it, I don't know. I was God or angel or whatever was looking over me that day.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, that, and you got to realize the diving conditions of what they did. It's pitch black down there. You can't see 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah, it's just like, total darkness. You get about 4 or 5 feet underwater in the Arkansas River, and it's like being in a dark room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that.
Wow.
That must have been horrible.
It was, and it scared me for a little while. It took me a little while to even get back in the water after that.
Yeah.
It frightened me.
Did anything fundamental change about your character, or were you too young to have really developed any set ways? Or
I think it more or less caused me to go about the family way, because back in my younger days, I was, I got in trouble a lot. I drank and all that, and stayed in trouble with the law and all that. And I think shortly after that, that was a real turning point for me, and I started worrying about my kids and my family life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so many people talk about that once they have that life review, it's just kind of like something's got to
reappraise where you're at.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't really have a near-death experience. I don't got nothing to follow up with it. I mean, I've been scared out of my mind a couple of times. But
once you Bigfoot, you might have one.
Yeah.
The first night that we had something happen to us, it scared the crap out of me. I had nightmares about it, so I still think about it. Those sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a PTSD. Any little thing can trigger it. Can bring you right back to.
Yeah, and I don't think we even had a bad experience per se. It just shattered my worldview of what I thought was out there, because I grew up listening to his stories, from the time I was a kid. So I knew about Bigfoot, but by the time I'm in my 20s, I pushed all that out of my mind.
Right.
And we're in the middle of nowhere. Well, not really. We're only like a mile from town, really, but it's a very rural area. And there's farm pond sloughs right along the Pettigene River there. And then you hear these sounds and find a footprint the next day that's bare in the middle of winter.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of rearranges your worldview a little bit.
Yeah.
So
now, Mark, talk about that frequency you found.
Oh, the 1.6 gigahertz.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that comes from Skinwalker Ranch and their experiences. When events seem to happen, like UFOs or other strange events on the ranch, they'll find this 1.6 gigahertz frequency is around.
Or the 1.6 will be triggered by digging in the ground. Or drilling or something. It coincides with their experiments, and they don't know why they're getting it. We don't know why.
That's right. Well, I've got a spectrum analyzer, and it will go up to that frequency. And I found out actually that it was 1.6 gigahertz was emanating from a PC. I thought, could that be part of this that's going on there? I don't know. But also, you can walk around outside and you will see this 1.6 occasionally pop up, but not to the same extent that they get on Skinwalker Ranch. So whether it's something to do with the paranormal, the actual frequency is supposed to be for satellite communication.
That was weird.
So it's part of that band that they allow for satellites. It's just it's an odd one. So keeping stock of frequencies is something to look at with the paranormal, to do a sweep and see if things might repeat. Another one apparently is around 450 megahertz. That one pops up for some reason. So it's always, if you do have a spectrum analyzer, it's worth using it when you're out in the field to just see whether you're getting something that's being repeated. And then if it's if you're seeing orbs, is there a frequency with that? Ghost impressions, places that are thought to definitely have spirit activity. Maybe you can verify with the frequencies. If it's not there, maybe not. If it is there, maybe so. So it's a fascinating area to have a look at frequencies and see if there are correlations with the possible strange stuff going on.
And speaking of correlations, and what we want to take it from is, you see ghost investigators will go, they'll get the history of the place, the hauntings of the place, and they'll set up their cameras. Okay, they see a ghost here every time, or they see activity over here, and this is where expect to see this. We don't want to know.
No.
We want to go in, we want to get the evidence, then find out if it correlates with what everybody else has been reporting or what the story of the place is.
Otherwise, you can end up forcing that narrative.
You're always going to have it in the back of your head. Well, let's make something happen here, and why go in and have expectations and then be disappointed, or God forbid, set up a fake, rather than going in and not having expectations, having something happen, and then finding out it correlates.
Right.
That's a really fresh take on that, because I've never heard of anyone doing that but you guys.
The problem is that I've done so dang much research.
She probably knows anyway what to expect.
It's kind of hard to find places that,
Well, how many books have you got on the paranormal?
Couple hundred?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of information in your mind. So you might know something about
before the internet. So,
What do y'all think about, like you watch these YouTube videos and stuff, and you see a lot of these investigators, and they're like trying to provoke a spirit. How do y'all feel about that?
I don't like it.
That's interesting, because we just watched Ghost Club Paranormal last night. They had a live, and somebody asked them about that. Are we going to keep provoking evil spirits in 2026, or shall we leave that in 2025? And a lot of people said, leave it, because it's not a good idea. So much of it depends on how deeply ingrained your beliefs are, in a way that make it psychological. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, you just want to take things in balance.
But also, if you're going to provoke, then you might get a reaction. That thing might follow you home.
Exactly.
Cause you to crash your car on the drive home or whatever. Mm-hmm. Why would you risk doing such a thing for a couple of extra clicks on a video?
Yeah.
That is very true.
That's me going back to the whole Bigfoot analogy of punching it in the face. I can't punch a ghost. I'm not going to piss it off.
No. No, it can. Well, I don't know. Can it do more harm to you? Yeah. I mean, if you go down the exorcism route and the possession route and that kind of stuff, it can do a lot of harm to you.
Yeah, I want no part of that.
A couple places, that have been investigated to death, but I want to do. Mark doesn't, and I don't blame him, but I would like to do myself, is the Villisca axe murder in the Sally house.
I've heard
and go from there and say, show me, rather than, this is going to happen.
I couldn't very well sit outside in the car while you're in the Sally house, possibly getting attacked.
I don't believe it would happen.
No,
I think a lot of that is psychological. Although I did watch the Unexplained, was it that episode back in the 90s, where the guy who owned the Sally house at the time was getting scratched live on camera. I saw that episode as it happened. So that was interesting. Have you seen that?
No.
That sounds familiar for some
Yeah.
reason. I think I might have seen it.
It was back in the 90s, and that's when the Sally House kind of blew up because this guy saw a little girl in his kitchen, drew a picture of her, and called her Sally. And on film, on The Unexplained, you can see scratches being formed on his back.
Wow.
Now, you get the amazing Randy came on and said, well, there is a certain powder that you could put on your skin, and if you get it wet, it looks like blood. You can make it look like a scratch. But the thing is unless they did it prior, but you could see like blood starting to form and scratch. I don't care for the amazing Randy, by the way.
But some skepticism, of course, is
Yeah,
valid.
some skepticism.
Yeah.
But when he's saying what you've experienced doesn't happen, it's like, come on, dude, have a little empathy.
Well,
Right,
I
right.
can see the parallel between that and someone that's never had a cryptid encounter like Bigfoot or a Dogman. How
Yeah.
many people
Sure.
are going to believe them at face value? I mean, it's better now today than it used to be. Because, like, when he had his encounters way back when, no offense, Craig, that, no one believed him. You
Yeah.
know?
I have I don't know why. I have no problem conceptualizing Bigfoot, but Dogman is a problem with me. And I don't know why, because the Beast of Brer Road was right next door,
Mhm.
in Wisconsin growing up.
I wish
But-
I interviewed you before we put out that video.
Oh, well, I don't know a whole lot of it. I just know that in that area of Wisconsin, there have been about 5 or 6 reports. One time a guy came home from hunting, had his carcass in the back, stopped at a stop sign and was just taking off when he felt a huge boom. And he looked at the back and his truck gets dented and he can see this claw coming over and grabbing the carcass to yank it out. And he looks and it's a Dogman doing this. Now, you guys are hunters. You tell me if you're going to let somebody know somebody stole your carcass.
Hell,
That's true, but as far as my thing about Dogman, I'm not positive, and I couldn't say 100%. But as far as the research and stuff that we have done, and the way I see it, if Indians can believe it like they do in Bigfoot,
Right.
why can't it be out there?
well, there's other creatures they believe in besides that have a history of sightings too, like say the Gugway. That's another thing I don't want to run across. Dogman and Gugway. It's think of it like a Bigfoot, at least from my understanding. I could be totally wrong, but from you ever heard of the Beast of Seven Shoots?
No.
There's a picture. I've even mentioned it on the show before. You can go look it up. This guy was taking landscape photographs. I believe it's in Canada. And he happened to catch a picture of this Gugway. It's standing about 7-8 foot tall. It has a snout like a baboon. And it's
Okay.
like almost primordial ape-like, how, apes used to be back in the day, at least from my understanding.
Mhm.
And it has a dog under its arm that it's killed.
Oh, my goodness.
He didn't know he captured the photo. He had
Is
no
that
idea.
like a regional name? Like they have Pukwudgies up in the Northeast?
Yeah, I think it's more
okay.
of a regional.
Uh-huh.
There's been sightings of Gugway around here too, but they're definitely more up north.
Okay.
Just like there's sightings of Dogman here. Which
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
especially
about.
up in the Ozarks. There apparently have been a lot of sightings up there.
Yeah, speaking of the Ozarks, me and him hit on something interesting. 2 bear attacks happened in Arkansas back to back.
I was reading about that 2 weeks ago.
Bear attacks don't happen especially black bear attacks. They don't happen that often. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's just the circumstances of 2 black bear attacks in northwest Arkansas are really strange.
I think that bear must have been sick, though, don't you?
It was 2 different bear. It was
was
miles apart.
Yeah,
Oh, my
at
goodness.
2 different places. One was at a. They was both at a park, wasn't they?
They're at two different parks, I believe.
Yeah, two different
Uh-huh.
parks.
And a bear generally, I believe, has a set area, doesn't it, Craig?
Yeah, normally, but you know what the investigators and all them said about everything, it just, I don't know. It didn't seem right to me. I mean, my dad and even us, you know, we bear hunted and stuff before, and I don't know. There's just something off about it. Honestly, I don't think it was a bear.
Okay,
Right.
And
that's what I was thinking.
you also found that older story of a guy around Fayetteville that had been killed in his barn. They said it was a bear, but he had been squeezed to death.
Oh,
Bear ain't gonna
Yeah.
squeeze you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which coincides with another story. You ever heard of the Bennington Triangle? It's up north.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was one guy that was killed there. They said it was a
Mhm.
bear attack, but he had been squeezed. All of his ribs and stuff were fractured and all that. That just, a bear's not going to squeeze you. They're going to maul you.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know, so it just, the whole thing makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I think there's way too many cover-ups and all of it. You know, I wish we'd know the truth, but you know how it is.
Mm.
Yeah, like you say, a bear attack is just convenient, you know, for people to listen to to understand what's happened. They just give it a mark.
Put a tag, an explanation,
Yeah,
exclamation.
give it an explanation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a bear attack.
Oh, hey, you guys. Do you want me to tell you the one thing we cannot solve that happened to us that was so weird?
Go for it.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. This is a summer day. We have the back door open, and this is in Muskogee. Kitchen's in the back. We actually have to go through a little living room to get back over to our bedroom. But it's only a matter of 10, 15 steps. Well, anyway, I'm in the kitchen. I'm making a microwave meal. And we got the microwave, the toaster oven, and then other stuff, and it's not important. And I'm making my meal right in front of the microwave, preparing it, putting it in there, cooking. It comes out. I take it out. I go to the bedroom to eat the meal while I'm watching TV, and Mark is just coming out of the bedroom to go get a cup of coffee. So we pass a few steps, right? Mark comes immediately back to the bedroom. He's holding a gallon jug of milk half full. And he said, "Did you leave this out?" I said, "No." He knows I don't drink milk. He drinks it with his coffee. And I only get one jug of milk at a time, except for this last time I screwed up and got two. But anyway, so he shakes it and it's chunky.
Yeah.
It's like milk gone off.
Which is why I asked her what.
And he said, "This was on the counter." I said, "Where?" He said, "In front of the microwave." I said, "I can't have been because I just made a microwave meal." And he said, "Not only that, I checked the fridge and our our gallon milk is still in there."
So where the heck
Where
did it come
this
from?
gallon jug of half gone off milk in the time that we switched.
Yeah.
And we had a long backyard that was fenced in. There's no way anybody could have run into our kitchen, set the milk there, and run back out and gotten out without being heard or seen.
Yeah.
That is real puzzling.
That was an apportation, it's called, when something apports.
Well, also like the cheese stuff. What was the
It was a Parmesan cheese.
We always keep the Parmesan cheese in the fridge. Always have done. It's just one of those things. You can always keep it in the fridge. And we couldn't find it one time. And we're looking around everywhere. Eventually found it in a top cupboard in the kitchen. Sat in the cupboard.
In the dishes. There's not even food in that cupboard. I never would put it up there.
That's weird.
That is.
But the milk, I think, is the weirdest thing.
I think the milk is, yeah.
Yeah, that is very strange. Huh. So
I don't know.
I couldn't explain that one to you. I mean, it's just one of them things. I was going to ask, what do you think the government hides a lot of the paranormal stuff? Is there any possibility? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And again, for easy consumption by most people. I mean, why would they need to come out with something, that sounds ridiculous? Look at the way the UFOs used to be treated. The news anchors used to always laugh when they're talking about UFOs.
And may I interject Stranger Things here about the Montauk Project?
Yeah.
We were watching, I can't even find Project Camelot on YouTube anymore. But back in the early 2000s, new internet, when it was, we got a video up there, to watch. This Project Camelot interviewed Duncan Cameron, who was involved with the Project Montauk, and was talking about Al Bielek, and who was his brother, and all the whole situation back in the 90s. And when I found out that Stranger Things was based on the Montauk Project, I was on it. And in fact, sorry, honey, I saw videos where they were discussing that the Demogorgon on Stranger Things actually looks very much like the real monster that they let loose on Montauk.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of paranormal stuff. I think a lot with especially the remote viewing.
Oh yeah.
They're just coming out with that. And what was the Russian woman who
that whole remote viewing thing, how accurate do you think that is?
It can be quite exacting. You've got these different categories of, whether you get hit or not on this kind of a thing. Myself and my brother Joel used to do a lot of that in the mid-90s on the phone, because he used to live a couple hundred miles away. And we'd do things like I'd try and, guess what was around him, like a chain link fence, electricity pole, that kind of a thing. And it was just a bit of fun. We didn't know that it was a much deeper subject. I used to listen to, Art Bell a couple of times, that kind of thing. You get recordings online. Of course, I couldn't pick it up in England, could I? Because it's an American show.
Yeah.
But I was aware of such things, but didn't know how deep those things went with Ingo Swann and people like this.
We had one phone call,
Yeah.
Mark and I,
Yeah.
and Mark said, just give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to see what I'm doing. And I said, okay. I described the stairway. First of all, you go up the stairway, and then you turn and you go up the stairs, and then your room is on the right. And when you walk into your room, I think your bed is straight ahead. And then on the wall, on the top of the bed, there isn't anything, but the wall that is across from the bed is windows, and you got your desk there. And I said, and if you go along that wall and then turn, and on the wall that the door is on, there's a wardrobe, isn't there? I went to visit him, and that's what he had.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I even told him his neck needed shaving.
There we go. There we go. Well, this was us during dating, so I mean, it was remote viewing each other.
Well, the reason why I asked that, they had I was watching, I can't even remember what it was, but it was a YouTube video, and they had these people that was remote viewing into some of these active UFO places where there was mountains, but those remote viewing into the mountain and seeing all kinds of things like an underground base and all that. And it was really, detailed. So I was just curious about that,
Yeah. McGonagall, I'm forgetting his first name again.
Patrick
McGonagall. Yes. He was asked they just give him coordinates to remote view this place and find out the coordinates were for Mars, but not only Mars now, but Mars in the past. Now, of course, McGonagall could say anything. There's no way they're going to prove it or anything.
Right.
But what was really weird is like Ingo Swann was the one who did the large crane, the huge crane operation. And he said, I can't believe this is real, but there is a submarine that's as big as 2 submarines. You're never that can't be.
on Mars.
No, in Russia.
Oh.
And what they found out is that, you guys know the K-19, the Widowmaker, the big nuclear sub? That's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's definitely wild.
I don't think people give enough credit to what our minds can do.
Yeah.
If we just, they always say, "Oh, don't have an open mind so much your brains fall out." Well, once in a while, you got to let the brains get out there.
But also,
Right.
how many so-called psychic traits were things we had to rely on in caveman days to save our lives? And we just don't need those skills. And so maybe we've lost a lot of natural abilities that we're now calling supernatural effects.
Like, can you imagine caveman hunter were going out to hunt and stuff, and they had to let them who was back at the cave know we're safe, we're bringing food home.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Natural everyday stuff that we just don't need to do anymore.
We talked about something like that similar back in our very first video. I think we even brought it up. How much of this that we've lost that, like, say, I believe Bigfoot are a people. I believe they're a human species of some kind. I could be wrong. No one knows. But they're still in touch with who they are. We're not.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, we evolved so quickly we've forgotten where we came from.
Exactly. And they're
Yeah.
still right back at the roots of where it all started. And that's why they can do the stuff they can do. At least that's in my theory. I mean, it's a theory. It could be dead wrong. No one knows. So
That's a good one.
Well, you just think about the rituals that Native Americans have, like for raising their boys, where they'll have to go on a vision quest or any kind of. Did they learn that from Bigfoot?
I never thought of that. Boy, that's a good example.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the spirituality of the Native Americans and having going through this vision quest or through this dark period and all this kind of stuff, has that awakened more spirituality in them. And this is something that is just natural with Bigfoot.
That is, I like that analogy of it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I was going to ask if you could pick your dream destination to go ghost hunting, where would it be? Absolute dream for both of y'all.
Well, it'd be somewhere haunted on Barbados, perhaps, on the beaches.
Actually,
Wow.
Edinburgh Castle.
Oh, Edinburgh Castle's, yeah, that was a good place to go.
Yeah.
We've already done that one, but
Yeah.
yes.
That was really cool. We had trouble getting tickets to get in there, and this one guy was a security guard named Ben. I got you taken care of, got us in. And then he was so nice telling us ghost stories after that. And and just the whole castle situation, it was so cool.
So in a way, that was a dream one ticked off.
Mm-hmm. Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh was something.
Yes, very dark.
Mackenzie's Tomb, have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. Mackenzie was a judge back in the 1600s, was it?
Yeah.
And they had people who were called Covenanters who, it wasn't the 1600s, it had to do with the Reformation of the church and stuff. So these people were called Covenanters, and they were separating from the Christian church that King Henry VIII, yes, thank you. Because he wanted to divorce his wives, he had to get Lutheran or whatever. But Judge Mackenzie was the one who charged all these Covenanters to live in a prison area that was just this walled off area. And hundreds of Covenanters were living in it. Right now is what is the confines of the Greyfriars Kirkyard, which is a graveyard. Kirkyard means graveyard. And he sent so many people there to starve to death, to freeze to death, to die horrible deaths. And when he died, he was buried with the Covenanters. And his tomb is said to be so haunted that they no longer open it for tours. It used to be people could go, they could look inside. Pregnant women were fainting. People were getting attacked with bruises and scratches. Some people were it was devastating to people who were sensitive visiting that place.
Golly.
So they finally had to And when we went by that, I told Mark he was taking my picture. I could just feel evil, just ugh. So,
Yeah.
Did it make you feel nauseous and
oh, just cold, just
cold?
threatened and cold.
Oh, wow.
Oh, she was swearing at the tomb as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, what you did. And,
I don't swear.
like a sailor.
I'm a lady. Hey, what you laughing for?
We've been out with you in the woods. We know.
Oh,
Oh,
but
where would you want to go first? It used to be Waverly Hills, but that one soured on me.
Yeah, the bigger places, Stanley Hotel and places like that, they've been done to death.
Yeah.
Well, literally, I suppose, done to
Yeah.
death.
I think where I would want to go is somewhere that gives me the creeps vibes, that I don't know is haunted, and then go and get creeped out.
Yeah.
gotcha. So, I was going to ask, y'all been on the journey, YouTube, just like we have. It's been kind of crazy lately. Where do y'all sit? Where do y'all want to end up with YouTube, and what do y'all want to do with it?
Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah. Well, predominantly to gain proper experiences, to document properly, and do things in a more scientific way. We're certainly not about clicks and whatever, and just running around looking scared and setting things up and faking stuff or anything like that. Why? So really, just to document for ourselves and hopefully bring along some information, some extra new information.
And that's the thing, is we want to find answers to what has happened to ourselves, and we want to help other people understand. We want to bring people with us. And one thing that has been so much fun was getting along with people like you who reached out to us. And we just had another subscriber reach out to us with his UFO stories, and we just made a video on that.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I have another subscriber want to get a hold of me about CIA stuff. And, it's just meeting people, getting stories and learning is so much fun.
Involving like-minded people, really.
Yeah.
In our journey, we're also older, so we should be able to carry some of that wisdom, perhaps.
I'm sorry, Sam and Colby, we're just not going to be screaming.
No.
Oh,
Mackie and Amanda.
Yeah.
If you had some good advice to give to a new investigator, what advice would that be?
Don't sensationalize it to the self.
Keep it real would be the one thing. Check yourself for sure. Is this going on in my head, or is this going in, am I projecting what I want to happen, or is this happening organically?
Also, what answers are you seeking?
Yes.
Because if a person doesn't have anything actually seeking, are they going to be genuine?
Have your reason set. Because you can get deflected off into, oh, that smells good, or, that was weird or whatever, and it doesn't run anywhere.
Right.
You still need to have every little bit of evidence, because it all adds up.
For the whole picture.
So it's really a learning process, is to pay attention to those kind of things, but to learn and build on what you are experiencing. That sounds so dang general and blah, but really, I can just go at it with a good curiosity. I guess that would be my advice.
Good advice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I was going to also ask, we're pretty sure you've had Bigfoot experiences around your property. What do you think of that? I mean, like, does it frighten you at all, or it just makes you more curious?
I think it's probably a natural set of events for places around here, rural places. Probably experience a heck of a lot of stuff, and not many people even mention it. I think there's like an undercurrent of respect there, probably, for the creatures.
For instance, we asked our neighbor, has he ever heard anything weird? And he says, yeah, when I'm sitting by the fire and something goes off in the woods, I'm in the house. I do not stick around.
And he's a hunter type as well, He's not afraid of using his weapons against something, but he won't go anywhere near.
Right.
I do think there's more. There's not just like one Bigfoot or one family of Bigfoot, or all in the Pacific Northwest. I think there's quite the amount.
No. Oh my gosh.
Keeping themselves to themselves. And I think a lot of people that experience things just don't say anything because, first of all, who's going to believe them, and secondarily, it's normal for a lot of people.
They can't be just in the Northwest because living in Minnesota, I can tell you, Rosa area, Upper and Lower Red Lake area, and Moose Lake area, all known for Sasquatch. That's a totally different area. That's in the Upper Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't remember what this study was. There's a index that you can use to calculate how many animals are in a given area, including countrywide. I can't remember what the heck it's called because my brain doesn't work like that. But I know of a researcher or someone that plugged in for Sasquatch, and he used very, very conservative numbers, and he still came up with like 50, 60,000 in the U.S. That's not counting worldwide.
There are so many people who say, oh, there's no way there's sustainable environment for animals. This are people this big. They can't be real and stuff. But there is a woman, I don't know her name. I just saw a video on her. They call her the modern day or the female Indiana Jones. And she's an anthropologist, I believe, who has hooked up with Expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah. She's one of the presenters.
And she said that I have sat 3 feet away from, I don't know, I think it was a forest gorilla. It wasn't a mountain gorilla. A forest gorilla and a couple others for 3 hours, and I didn't even know they were there until she left. I was getting to it. They sat so still, and she was so still, and the camouflage, there was so much between them that just 3 feet away, she didn't even know they were there, and she's an anthropologist.
Well, we have such dense forest anyway, and you seen, when we went out, some of the dense places, you ain't going to see very far.
No.
Go ahead.
This gentleman, the subscriber that just did the UFO video with us, do you guys remember that Bigfoot footage from Mississippi where the guy is watching a creature down at the bottom of a tree and it looks like it's ripping bark off the tree and then it stands up? He used to live in that area and he wants to bring us to that spot.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the northeast of Arkansas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was right across the river in Mississippi where you saw that happen.
That'd be more southeast. Yeah, southeast. But anyway, the way I look at it, how many black bear are sustained in the United States?
Yes.
Thousands. How many grizzly? Yes. While grizzlies are not as numerous because we hunted them, look at Alaska. I mean, you got grizzlies living right alongside people.
Yeah.
There's plenty of food out there to sustain a large omnivorous animal. Easily.
And the number of sightings. See, this is what bothers me with the paranormal as well, is there is no way that science is going to accept that it's real because they can't replicate it. They have this big hang up about being able to repeat something. But I mean, there's so many things that you can't repeat that science has taken on board.
Right.
And women are not eyewitnesses, compounded upon eyewitness upon eyewitness upon eyewitness. When does that become scientific evidence?
When there's a body. That's I hate to say it, that's going to be the only way.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Trank it, please. Why? I mean, that's the thing.
Well, I don't want to be the fool that tries to do that, so I'm not going.
Yeah. How are you going to know what the dose is? You put 3 or 4 trank guns.
Not just that. If you take into the account that most of them don't seem to travel alone, I'm not messing with Big Mama after I trank Dad.
Yeah,
right.
True.
Right.
Nope, not doing it. But I don't know.
What a horrible thing to think that we have to murder one of these people to prove they're real.
The only other way I could see it happening is an aggressive one. I could see that happening because I also don't think they're the gentle forest people either. I think they're like anyone. You have a personality, and you probably
Mhm.
got some messed up ones out there. I'm sure that don't like us very much, especially if
Yeah.
they've been shot or shot at. They're definitely not going to like us.
Yeah.
And you look at how many people go missing in the continental United States, not counting Alaska. That's a whole nother rabbit hole up there.
Well, look at David Paulides came to the conclusion that several of the missing in the national parks have been abducted by Sasquatch.
Yeah, we're easy. We would be easy food for something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you get so many hikers out there. They don't take any protection or nothing. They're just out there. Thinking that they can enjoy nature, but they don't realize what's in nature.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. They've also been known to stalk military units on patrol.
Yes.
And they have guns. They know
Yeah.
what a gun is, and they know how to avoid being shot. So,
Well, if I may be so bold to say that might be retribution, because so many times, how many reports have you heard that say, I reported a Bigfoot on my property, next thing you know, military come in, and you hear guns going off and helicopters taking off and all this kind of stuff.
it seems
That's
all
right.
a Bigfoot subject, for sure.
But yet the government says that they don't exist.
But you got
Yeah.
governments like China that funds research into the Yeren,
Yes.
Yeah.
and Russia into the Almas.
But, the government takes us for granted, and it might be a thing
They will.
about, the whole population will go nuts if they know the truth, just like with UAPs. Why do you say that? It's going to be a whole religious conversion and everything's going to be turned upside down. Not necessarily.
Or maybe at
Yeah,
one time they might have had a point.
Been like this with religion or not.
Right.
It's UAPs do exist, and Bigfoot does exist.
Well, I mean,
So bring it to our worldview.
I don't know. We're not thinking about it. We're redoing the episode, kind of anniversary launch of our first episode, the origins of Bigfoot.
Mhm.
And we went into that and the history behind, and not just in the United States, it's everywhere.
Cool.
China had sightings in pottery of Yeren, etched into the pottery. Like, what did I say? 4,300 BC, something like
Yes.
some crazy number before Christ.
Mhm.
And because I still use the before Christ, I'm never probably going to change on that.
That's all right.
I don't know what they say now. I don't care. But anyway, there's sightings in Afghanistan. There's sightings all over. The Mongols spoke of them. Alexander the Great spoke of them.
The Yowie in Australia.
That's another one. That
Yeti.
one's wild. Oof. The Yeti has been, the Tibetan people have talked about the Yeti for thousands of years
Mhm.
since
Yes.
they were there. So it's just one of those things.
What are you finding in Africa? Why do we not hear from Africa as such?
I think there are. There's some in South America, so why wouldn't there be some in Africa?
Yeah.
Because explorers talked about the Patagonia giants in, Argentina,
Sure.
Right.
which is another episode I want to eventually do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so what are your plans for this year, you think?
What I'm kind of looking at, I'm kind of the planner and media person for this. I'm looking at taking, first of all, Arkansas by sections, because I've been investigating different areas. I say investigating, I mean that I've been looking into, I guess,
Researching them.
areas in Arkansas, and I find that each area has several ghost lores or paranormal things or cryptids or whatever. That I want to take it like northeast, north, northwest, south, southwest, in areas, and do several at a time.
Yeah.
Make a little series about it, and of course, hook up with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're talking about doing the sanatorium in Boonville.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need to get you on our turf next time.
Yeah.
We're fine with that. And we're really providing everything works out this year, and we don't have any major medical events like this last year,
Yeah.
the year before that.
Yeah.
yeah, we're wanting to start doing more field work than we've done.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
originally started out wanting to do a lot of field work, and it's just been grounded. But
Yeah.
we definitely want to hook up with y'all and go to like the sanatorium in Boonville, because you don't ever see that covered on YouTube. That's
Mm-mm.
fresh ground.
Mhm.
And for those listening that don't know, it was a tuberculosis sanatorium back in the day. Now it's the Human Development Center where they send mentally challenged people, in Boonville. But the Nyberg building's still standing, and I know Mom used to have to go down there and turn off the lights at night. So,
Oh, really?
Okay.
yeah, she hated it.
Oh my gosh. Does she have stories of it?
She's never said anything, so I don't know, but she did say that once a paranormal group came in, they captured orbs and all this stuff. But
Uh-huh.
she wasn't really into the paranormal, so I don't know
Sure.
how much she paid attention to it.
Right.
She just was creeped out.
Yeah, every time she had to go in the basement and turn off the lights.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and how many people died in the Nyberg? I don't know.
And interesting enough, when you said it was the Nyberg building, I looked into it, and it is spelled the same as my uncle.
That's
My
Really?
dad's half brother was Vince Nyberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be.
that's cool.
So where the nuts is from his side, and I got it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, another trip that I'm wanting to plan that I would really like y'all to go along with, if we can do it, is the Pea Ridge battle site.
Right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Northwest Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, I've been looking into that for a minute. So I'm wanting to go out, do more Bigfoot stuff, and get into some paranormal, even though I'm going to be chicken as hell. So I'll go into the woods after a Bigfoot, but something about a ghost is like, ew.
Well, we'll follow y'all's lead on that one.
Oh, for
Well,
sure.
here's what you have to think, and this is what I think. Whatever spiritual belief you have to believe that that is stronger than any evil that can come at you.
Indeed, protect yourself with those
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. And that's why when, I've never faced a demon, I hope I never do, but I just always feel that I have the faith in my spirituality that nothing is going to touch me because it's stronger than what this evil is,
Yeah,
Right.
that's something to definitely think about for sure. I think that's been my one hang up on it, is not wanting, I don't want to deal with like something like that. You know what I mean?
Or hitchhiker.
Or I don't want to bring that home to my kid.
Right.
Or kids, I should say. But yeah, I don't want to bring it home to them. And you hear horror stories about this. Of course, you hear horror stories about Bigfoot too, but I'm a little more confident in that. I live in a town and not on the outskirts.
Yeah.
So anyway, y'all, it's been an amazing episode. It's been awesome.
Oh, it's
Enjoyed
been
it.
fun.
Yeah.
It's gone so fast.
Yeah.
I think we've been doing this over an hour and a half now.
Oh, really?
I'm
Yes.
pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay. I'll shut up now.
No,
You're fine.
You're good.
You're fine. It was great.
Yeah, so we're gonna go
Good
ahead.
questions too, you guys.
Yeah, very enjoyable.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all for coming on.
No kidding. Yeah. So everyone can go check out Spirited Investigations. It's where you're going to find Mark and Julie. We usually keep them linked on our YouTube channel so people can find you too. So
We usually catch up with each other a couple times a week.
generally,
Your
Right.
channel's linked in our descriptions as well.
yeah, we appreciate that.
And
all of our
we-
new subscribers, go
Yeah.
ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
we appreciate everybody. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to us and keep helping us build. We appreciate it.
It's been
And the information these gentlemen get is superb.
Yeah.
That's it just every show is just packed with information that even if you've heard of the case before, you guys come up with something we haven't.
And entertaining as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
I don't
y'all.
think we're that entertaining. We're just a bunch
Yes,
of country
you
boys
are.
talking about creepy stuff. But
But also, I do want to give a shout out to Paranormal Adventures with Sean and Crystal. They're kind of our sister podcast. he kind of got us into this and helped us start this all. And you can listen to them on Podbean and Spotify. And if you want to get a hold of them, it's paranormaladventures2@gmail.com. And if you want to get a hold of us, Richard, what is that?
The supernatural roundtable at gmail.com, because we're actually hurting for stories. We get people subscribing, but they're not really sharing their experiences. So we would love to have other people come on, share their stories. So, and if you got paranormal stuff you want to share with Mark and Julie, I mean, we'll take it too, but we'll also send you to them too.
And you can get a hold of us at spiritedinvestigations@protonmail.com. We went a little pushy.
You did. Well, we really appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we do. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, you guys.
You bet. Y'all too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is the Supernatural Roundtable, signing off for now. From haunted hollers to shadows in the pines, the strange is never too far from home. Until next time, keep your wits about you, and we'll meet again down the road.